No, no conflicts. I do have a question, Ryan.
Sure.
Originally, Margaret Gallant, she had asked for the M to do the minutes, and she was supposed to do the minutes this evening. Is Margaret here?
Uh,
Oh,
I
yes, she
am.
is. Oh, Margaret, are you doing the minutes?
Yeah, this is May, this is my month.
Great.
Hi, Ramona.
Hi, everybody.
all right. Okay. Do we have the approval for the minutes of last month? I wasn't here. Yeah.
I can
You
first.
appro-
Yeah.
I can prove.
okay. Okay. Then approval of the agenda.
The only thing I'd like to move on the agenda, I'm sure Jessica and Ramona want to stick with the 6 o'clock if they can, but maybe we can cut them short about quarter to seven or 20 to 7 to give Jordan a chance to make have a talk. But at the end under new business, I've got one or two items there, and they're really housekeeping items. You'll need a liaison person with the mayor's office, which is Doug Dumay from the mayor's office. You're going to have to make a motion to replace me. A new member of the task force should be appointed. And
Okay.
There's no replacing you.
thanks for that. And
Why yeah, that's
finished. This is my last meeting. I had only renewed for one more year, Ryan, and I'm not going to be available in June, so I'm finishing now. And a minute taker. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to do that month to month. But anyway, we can do that under new business. So let's keep Ramona and Jessica at this time. And then, like I said, if they don't mind, I'm sure they don't, leaving 15 or 20 minutes at the end for Jordan. Is that okay, Jordan?
Oh, I think you're muted.
Yeah, that sounds totally fine. Like I'm really happy to stay as long as I can until 7 o'clock, and just I'm interested as much as anything to hear what you're discussing as well. So yeah, that works for me.
So I need a clarification here. So we have 3 people that are speaking this evening.
I think Jessica and Ramona are a team. They're both from the
Okay.
city of Charlottetown. The sustainable,
Yeah, so I just want to confirm because Jordan needs to leave at 7. So is it just like, I just want to make sure that we get those people in and we can respect their time.
Yep, I think we can.
Okay, perfect. I wasn't
Okay.
sure if we were going to be separate or together,
So
Ramona and Jessica.
did we want to go through all of our approvals and all that stuff at the end, and we'll just put them on right now?
sure. That sounds perfect.
Okay, let's do
Well,
that.
with that being said, I'd like to introduce Ramona Doyle and Jess Brown.
Thanks, Ryan. Nice to see everybody again. It's been a while. I haven't met all of you, but it's great to kind of see that you're still going and still coming up with some great ideas. So Jess is going to give a little bit of an update on Bike Week, so we can have a conversation about that. The only other project we have kind of on the go, I guess you could talk about the bike lockers too, Jess, but the only other infrastructure project we have on the go is the bypass highway active transportation path. So you see they're making pretty quick work on phase 2. We thought they'd have a later start, but it looks like they will be wrapping up by end of June. And we have a couple little adjustments to make on phase 1, but then both of those will be complete. And we've got the design for phase 3 pretty much done. So that's kind of the big infrastructure project that I'm working on. I know Public Works has a few other ones on the go, but if you want, maybe I'll ask any questions that you might have there, and then Jess can kind of take over on the bike week and some of the other initiatives.
Can I ask, where does phase 2 go?
So phase 2 starts at St. Peter's Road. We couldn't stay on the bypass highway due to the overpass, so it actually goes down Norwood Road, and then it like cuts down back onto the front of the airport property, and then it goes to the corner of Brackley Point Road on the bypass, and then up Brackley Point Road to the Maple Hills. There's previously an active transportation path that went out to Brackley Commons, but there was a gap there, so we did that piece as well.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Can I ask, I'm curious about how the crossing, just as it comes from Norwood Road to connect back up alongside the airport. I drive by there every day taking Lyndon to school. So what kind of a crossing will that be for people using the trail?
So they are going through the roundabout, Carrie. So they'll come down, they'll be on St. Peter's Road, and it kind of curves around by the KFC.
Yep.
And then they go to the first roundabout, which is like not very far from the intersection. And there is a separated path that goes around the outside of the roundabout, and then it connects onto Norwood Road. And then once they're on Norwood Road, they're on the path continuous, sort of on the south side towards like the Emily and some of those larger apartment buildings.
And
then
then they would have, sorry,
no, that's
they would
and
have to cross that one to get kind of near where the bridge is, right?
they're not going down to the bridge. They're going kind of parallel to the bypass highway.
Yes,
So
I'm talking about, sorry, Norwood Road that comes across and goes over the bridge. And I see the
Yes.
bike lanes coming up, and I'm just wondering what happens right there at that intersection. Do you know what I mean?
Right. It has like the rapid flashing beacon lights, and then there'd be like a crosswalk similar to what we would have sort of Grafton getting on the bridge.
So is
You know
that
what I
one
mean?
that you press a button for the light?
Yes, you have to pass a button for that one.
Yeah, those are
And then,
visible.
yeah,
Mhm.
Sorry.
I think somebody was gonna talk.
go ahead,
Sorry,
Jason.
were you
if you
gonna-
had
No,
something.
I had just said those lights I think are really great. They're very visible.
Yeah, so there'll be a controlled crossing there. I think we did those lights actually at every sort of crossway along the project. Yeah.
Is there a-
Sorry,
Sorry.
Carrie, go ahead, keep going.
I've got lots of questions.
Okay,
So
good,
about
good,
this
go
one.
ahead.
It's because I see it every day, and I'm like, I wonder how that's gonna work. When it's gonna meet with the current one that's on Brackley Point Road, yes? Right now, they're
Yes.
almost there. They've got
Yeah.
like one more yard. I assume there's some trees they have to move there, but was there ever a plan to then connect from where the Confed Trail is on Sherwood Road to like the roundabout? Do you know where like there's just that tiny
Yeah.
little gap? Was that ever part of the plan?
I think that's one we've discussed here previously.
Yeah.
That would go from the airport roundabout down Sherwood Road to the trail.
Yeah. Since it's such a
It's not lost on us. It's in kind of the like small, medium-sized projects that we try to like group together into packages for construction. But yeah, I can't remember where we landed on that one, but I can look into that, Carrie.
thank you. I guess it will meet up with the trail in phase 3.
It will, but I think it's worth having both of those, really.
Where does phase 3? Is that going to run along the other side, like up the other side of the bypass?
No, we tried, but it's going to be on the same side as it is now,
Okay.
and then it'll go right down to the trail
Okay. So that's behind the Red Cross.
behind the Red Cross.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically it's going to come up, it's going to hit that intersection at the bypass and Maple Hills area, not that far up, but like right at the corner there.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And what kind of crossing are they putting in there?
So it's not at the actual intersection. It's
Okay.
actually pushed up to before the merge lane. Cause you can't, we
Right,
wanted to have
yeah.
it before the traffic separates. And then it's again, the rapid flashing beacon and the painted road.
Right, okay.
Ramona, before we had you at the meeting tonight, as a task force, we had come up with a few questions for you. And I have 3 more questions. The first one was, have the bike helmet signs been ordered by the city?
Bike helmet signs have not been ordered yet by the city.
Okay.
We haven't really gotten any, I haven't seen that come across my desk since it initially came in. I don't know if Scott commented on that at all when he was here, but I don't think there was any intention to put up more bike helmet signs.
Okay, because that was a motion that came from the task force that was
Right.
redirected. So you're suggesting that we can work with Scott on that?
Well, I mean, like sometimes our office helps out with those projects. Like if Scott needs help, I would help him, but typically signage would all be done by Public Works.
Okay.
Now, Joanne, the thing about the cycling signage is that we need to be really specific about where we put them. Like, where do we want to put cycling signage with the helmets? Because, we did a big cycling, like a safety and directions signage project last year. And you do get to the point of like sign saturation, right? Where people are just not even seeing them. So like if we had, if you wanted to say gateways into the city all had signage on them, or if you want to focus more on the Confederation Trail having it. But in terms of like just having cycling signage, like how many do you put up? It may not be the best route when it comes to like getting people to wear helmets. Is that the best, approach? And I would be interested in thoughts from the task force. So because I know it was discussed here, but those are kind of the things that it brings up for me.
Personally, I love all the signage that you put up. It's very noticeable. It's a great reminder, when I'm driving my car, driving my bike, it's absolutely fine, and I see your point. Does anybody want to comment on that?
I agree with the oversaturation. You kind of have to know the smart areas where to use it, where it's going to be utilized the most efficiently, because if you have it everywhere, people are just going to see it and then not notice it. So, yeah, it's about picking the right spots. And I don't even know, maybe even like some kind of video or something might be helpful than just a sign. But yeah, you have to you have to discuss the best spots, and it's the discussion for sure. Yeah. What does anyone else think?
I think a bit of both, really. The saturation thing I agree with. I think you picked your battles on that. The Confederation Trail is highly traveled. I think that's a good idea. And
Mhm.
a few other areas, like around UPEI and, a few
Yeah.
others. But I think a little bit here and there definitely would be better than nothing.
Yep.
Around schools too, I think.
Yep, schools, exactly.
My thought on it is it's the law. Is it not the law?
Yes.
So, I think this is what we talked about before. I mean, there was, there was always signs about littering. And now you rarely see a sign about littering, because people comply type of thing. So I think it's a great idea. I understand the saturation, but I do think about main arteries. kind of into the city, whatnot. Maybe that is somewhere to start with it. I would not be able to comment in terms of what other cities do, because I wouldn't have spent a significant amount of time researching it. But the little bit I did, there was several different types of things that people do. But I do think when, you know, smoking, when we had the new law on smoking, we saw a whole bunch of signs, and now we don't really see them. So it is the law, and I think it would be helpful to have something as opposed to nothing.
I just want to add in that as like an additional or supplementary to some of the actual road signs that Public Works would be involved in installing. A couple of years ago, we did put some large scale signage on the Confederation Trail that does go over a lot of different cycling safety information. And it does mention the helmet law. And then, you know, I'll get into this when I talk more about some of our bike week plans, but we also do have a lot of like cycling related materials that do cover the helmet law. They always include that. We'll do some social media campaign on specific safety messages, and that'll be one of them. And we do incorporate some large LED road signage into our kind of like bike week messaging. And so we will place large LED signs with some specific safety messages on main arteries heading into the city temporarily with cycling specific messaging. And we can incorporate the helmet law into that. So it's a temporary measure, but it's very effective. It reaches a lot of people. They notice it because it's one of those large LED road signs, and it's not one that kind of gets blended into the atmosphere like some of the other road signs do after you go by them all the time. So I think those are really effective other things that we can do on an annual basis that will get through to people, plus the large scale signage that is on the Confed Trail. And we put 3 of them in. I think there's one on the trail near kind of Joke's Park, and there's one near UPEI, and another one up closer to Brackley. So we do kind of hit some of those big spots on the trail too.
Thanks, everybody. Another question we had, Ramona, you told us the bike lockers are ordered. Have you got an update on the arrival date for them?
Yeah, Jess can speak to that as well.
Yeah, so we have them. They're not assembled yet. They're out at McAleer unassembled, and I'm working with Public Works and CADC about kind of an install date. The goal is to have them installed before Bike Week so that we can incorporate them into our messaging and promote them during Bike Week. So that's the plan for those, but we do have them.
Jessica, it's very timely. I had a conversation with the orthotics lady that comes from Moncton. She brings her bike over and wants to ride it, but she's really doesn't want to leave it anywhere because, you know, even locked, because, you know, it's the same in Moncton. It can be lifted, and you can use the word stolen. And last week, somebody stole a bike from the new community center there on Euston Street. And he rode the bike with the lock on it. And it was one of those big metal locks. And he was trying to get away with that big lock on it. And, you know, I felt bad for whoever owned the bike. Like if they'd only had the lock attached to something, that might have helped a bit. But yes, you know, the bike locker, anyway, this lady said she was really looking forward to something like that because she only comes over a couple of days a week. So we'll look for that promotion. Ramona, I know Jess is going to do the bike week, but our last question was funding applications. Can you give us an update? Is there any protected bike lanes in the works, like with the movable concrete that we had talked about with bike friendly communities 2 years ago? Are there any funding applications other than phase 1, 2, and 3?
There's other funding applications. There's none that fall under, like, I'm not doing any of the capital projects anymore. So now that that's kind of up and going, Public Works and Parks, like Parks will keep doing trails and Public Works will keep doing all the dedicated bike lanes and and like sidewalk improvements. So there is some applications in, but there's none for my department. I'd have to go back through and look at what went in, but none of them are the concrete blocks. They're all sort of like, there's the Victoria Park, a loop that we've been working on. There's, that was one of Frank's. There's a number on the public works side, but I just wouldn't want to list them off and get them wrong. I'm sure like that Doug could get the list of applications. We haven't heard back on which ones were successful yet, but they were submitted to the AT fund. And then we did put in an application to the federal fund that's also under public works. But again, like I was in the discussions, but I didn't submit them myself. So I'd want to get that verification from Scott and Albert.
Okay, so Scott Adams would have those answers, and who's the other person? Albert?
Yeah, Albert Gashi is one of our new superintendents, and he put in the applications for public works. He's an engineer. He does a lot of those types of projects. He is kind of taking over some of those.
Thanks.
So he would have the application list, but there was a lot that was applied for. We applied for as much as we can get, kind of thing.
Great.
Can I ask, sorry, Joanne, are
No,
you
I'm
done with your
finished.
list?
That's great.
Just while we have you here, I forgot this was just brought to my attention today, and maybe you can just tell us who to get in touch with, but the big construction project happening on between Sherwood Road and McAleer Drive, I guess they had some environmental barriers in, but those have collapsed, and there's now, what did they say? A lot of silt and fill moving towards where the trail is there, and they're kind of
Okay.
worried that's going to be come an issue very quickly if it's not addressed. That was just brought to me by a community member.
Okay.
What
No, I
should-
can, like, I would follow up with Nancy from Parks, but I can do that. Just in terms of like making sure the trail gets assessed, but that's our new City Works garage that's being built out there.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming that's what it is anyway. It sounds like the
Yeah,
right.
that's what it looks like again as I drive by every day.
It's a net zero building, which is kind of cool. It's one
Oh.
of the first of its type, so we're excited about that one. But yeah, we want to make sure that the silt fencing is in place there.
I think it may have just happened, but thank you. And I guess since we're just talking about the infrastructure projects, so I guess is your department now not really involved? What's been in the news lately, just this week, the big new roundabout at Vogue Optical Corner. Are you
Yeah.
guys involved with that, or do you have any information?
No. So kind of what happened, we did have some discussions at our committee level about the involvement, like clarifying the roles and responsibilities between the different departments. You guys all know with cycling, it spans police and Parks and Rec and Public Works. And, you know, I've been involved and we've been involved quite a bit over the years. So they did want to get some refinement around, you know, how that was kind of taking place. And our committee is now focused on, we like run some cross-departmental projects related to active transportation is one of our areas. And then cycling, education, culture building, that side. And that's kind of exclusively what is in our sort of our committee's mandate now. Which it changes things a bit for sure. Now, like I'm still in pretty regular contact with the other managers. Like we do try to have a planning session in the fall and talk about like what are some of those projects that we need to move forward and trying to kind of fit them all, the pieces together, but not super involved in terms of running infrastructure projects or really being involved in the details of them. And that was the other hope too with remember our terms of reference change with this committee is that you would have access to each of those departments in order to like create that connection. I'm not sure how well that's working out. I haven't really spoken to many of you since we kind of made that change, but you know, that's the idea is that, you know, each of these different departments has a slightly different mandate and how to kind of work with each of them.
Thank you for explaining that, because I think it's really good for us to have that understanding. Okay, so the infrastructure stuff is all public works now, except for
Yeah.
the trails, which are
Yeah.
parks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm kind of
So-
finishing up this 3-phase project because it was our department that initiated it.
Okay, it's good to understand. And so would you just be able to help point us in the right direction? So if we haven't discussed this as a group yet, but if we had concerns about a project like this one going ahead without AT infrastructure, who is the person we should connect with? And I mean, I know Scott's there, but is there anyone else, or who would be the best path, or what pathway can we take at this point?
Yeah.
to have a
It does need to
conversation?
go to the manager of that department. So it would be Scott. That's your point of contact on infrastructure. Now, you can send it to Doug and ask Doug to send it to Scott. Sometimes that works better in a way because it's more formally presented as like a, something from the task force to that committee.
Mhm.
I mean, as always, like with groups, like not that I like strongly advocate is this your only way to go forward, but there is, our council, our elected officials that like, if you feel like there's a letter that needs to come from the task force, you are like entitled to kind of take that route or to send it to the chair of any of the various committees. So those are options. Like the official way would be to go through the manager of the department and work with them to have it brought forward to their committee.
Thank you. I appreciate that insight.
No problem.
Okay,
think
we're
that
we're
was-
kind of running out of time, and I'm
Oh,
aware
yeah,
that Jordan is only a half an hour. I don't know if is it possible that we can fit him.
Brian, I'm going to interrupt. Not quite yet. I've got 6:20. I wonder if we can give 20 more minutes to Jessica Brown to talk about Bike Week, because that's what she's here to do. And Jordan would probably like to hear about that as well.
It's 6:30.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys.
And you know what? I honestly, I don't think that I would have so much to talk about that it would take up 20 minutes or half an hour anyways.
Yeah.
I'm really here mostly to listen. I can give you a quick update on just what we're up to, but I think we could have that done in 5 minutes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, I was. Who's gonna go first then?
I think I'm all done. If there's no more questions, then I can handle it over to Jess to talk about Bike Week.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. And we'll just try to be mindful of the time, and like at 6:45, if we're still deep in discussion on Bike Week, we'll make some time for Jordan. So I'm going to just share my screen here, if that's do that. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Great. So I'm just going to give an overview. There is more detail kind of here that we can go back to at any point if we need to, but I'll try to just give like a high level. Oh, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'll just kind of try to give a high level kind of overview of our objectives and some of our key messages, and then get into the initiatives and events that we have scheduled. So Bike Week is something that we do every year. It's a great opportunity to get out and encourage people to choose cycling and get excited about cycling and just kind of celebrate cycling in Charlottetown. Those are kind of some of our key objectives: to encourage it, highlight the benefits that cycling brings, educate and build awareness on safety and other things related to cycling, and then, like I said, to celebrate it. And then our key messages just kind of go into a little bit more detail on all of those things and talk about what those benefits are. We're going to go this year, we're really trying to focus on some of the infrastructure highlights that we've completed kind of in the previous year, and then what's coming up in the budget. So in 2021, we did add 6 kilometers of new multi-use paths in the city, and then we're gonna, you know, list those and pay some attention to those. And we're also gonna update the map with that information. And then also kind of highlight what we have in the budget for this current year in terms of actual transportation projects, and highlight those as well, bringing people more in the loop on what we have going on and what we have planned. And then some of our specific safety messages this year are going to be to incorporate information on the Dutch Reach, which I think was a recommendation from this task force. So, you know, we've been looking at some videos on that and some information, and I think that's a really great message to share. The Share the Road message, which is one that's been consistently shared by us, and it's kind of about drivers and cyclists and pedestrians and everybody, you know, using that roadway safely together, the 1 meter rule, and the helmet law, which was already touched on. So that's just kind of some of those basic messages that are going to be included. And our initiatives, we have a couple things going on all week long. So we're going to have our cycling heritage exhibit in Victoria Park again. That's going to be along the AT pathway. I'm not sure if anybody, you know, saw it last year, but it's going to be the same exhibit. It's a partnership with the Planning and Heritage Department, and it just highlights some really neat heritage photos of cycling in Charlottetown, and there's 10, I think 10 in total, and we'll put them up all along the trail. So that's a really neat interactive exhibit for people. The Thank You for Biking campaign, we're going to do that again. We had these custom handlebar hangers made. Can you see me too, or just my screen?
You can see both of you.
Okay,
The screen menu.
Okay, so we have these handlebar hangers. Thank you for biking, and it lists some of the benefits of cycling, and then they get a $5 treat for, like, whether it's downtown dollars or farmers market bucks, and we're going to go around and put those on bikes that we see parked in Charlottetown as just a little reward for people who are cycling, which is kind of the main thing that we're trying to promote, which is great. So that's always a fun one. Truck go by. We're going to put the bike mural, the custom bike mural that was painted in 2020. We're going to put that back along the Confederation Trail. We're going to do a radio campaign, social media campaign, the LEDs, cycling safety signage on the main arteries, commuter arteries into town, as I already touched on. Those are kind of some of the things that'll go on all week. And then the events that we have going on are PEI Bike Guy is going to do a group ride at the Acadian Trails in East Royalty on June 16th at 6 p.m. So there's a volunteer group, I think affiliated with Cycle PEI, that has been doing a lot of work on those trails over the last year, kind of with some guidance from our Forest and Environment Officer, and this is going to be a great opportunity to showcase that, and chatted to Jordan about this a little bit already, and hopefully we can get some, you know, drum up some interest through Cycle PEI and have maybe some additional volunteers through Cycle PEI as well, but that's always a fun one, and good opportunity to get out and use those trails that are in the city, which is exciting. There's not that many places to mountain bike in the city, but that is a really nice one. Bike to Work and School Day is on Friday, June 17th, and we're going to encourage elementary schools to participate, encourage their kids to get out and bike or walk to school. And there will be like prizes associated with that. The class that has the most students bike or walk will get a pizza party and a visit from Charlottetown, which I think the kids will be excited about. And to encourage businesses to bike to work, we're going to offer $20 in downtown dollars to any businesses that actually register to participate, and they can use that to, you know, put together a coffee or lunch break or snack for their staff, just as a little added bonus. And Discover Charlottetown Inc. is going to give us those downtown dollars at a discounted rate, which is great. And then the big event this year is the Bike Friendly Block Party, which the City of Charlottetown is hosting in partnership with Bike Friendly Charlottetown. That's going to be on Saturday, June 18th. At the Victoria Park Cultural Pavilion, we're going to have free barbecue, lots of demonstrations and booths and activities that decorate your bike. station where, you know, people can do that, possibly a bouncy castle, face painting, just lots of fun stuff. And then it'll be finished off with a mayor's ride and a bike parade kind of around the Victoria Park AT pathway, and ending back at the pavilion. So those are some of the main things. And then I just had a couple other things on the list, the bike lockers, which I think we really already covered, and then the bike map update. So we'll be updating the bike map this year to incorporate those additional 6 kilometers of trail that were added this year. I think that's pretty much everything. That's a pretty solid overview. If anybody has any questions, I can go into detail on anything.
I think you've planned a really great sounding bike week. It sounds really great, all the different initiatives happening here.
Awesome. Thanks, Carrie.
I see that Dutch Reach, and we talked about that last month. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great safety message to share, and I know that like in Holland and other places in Europe, that's really just a part of their like driver's education, and it's really common knowledge, but it definitely is not there like in terms of awareness here to really do that shoulder check, and it is really important, especially with more cyclists on the road. So I think it's a great opportunity to share that message and incorporate it into our communications.
I kind of have a question, and I don't know if it applies or not, but I know a lot of people, like their kids, they post things on their social media saying like their bike was stolen and something like that. Would it be helpful to have some kind of like public awareness for kids to just how to secure their bike? Like I know if people are gonna take it, they're gonna take it, but like if there was more knowledge of that for somebody with their bike, if that would help down the road, because no, it's not good hearing about all these kids and their bikes being taken. It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think like there's a couple things we could do with that. Like we always give away prizes and stuff like that during bike week. So we could really look at purchasing more bike locks as to give away as prizes as kind of a way to encourage people to properly lock up their bikes and do that. You don't want to, I think we have to be careful with messaging around a lot of bikes being stolen, because sometimes that can work in like an opposite way, and then people
yeah,
will
you're
like
right.
almost see more opportunities. So I think almost like providing more bike locks for people, and then like we are installing more secure bike locking with the bike lockers, which is another you know, safety measure for people. And then also the city police do have their Operation Bike Theft program, where they do you can go on and register your bike, and then if your bike does get stolen and the police pick it up somewhere, sometimes people just steal it and take it for a little ride and then ditch it somewhere, but
Yeah,
there's not a way to get it back to people. So we are gonna you know, try to have police at this bike friendly event registering people through this program, and then at least sometimes if a bike gets stolen, it'll help connect it with people who lost it.
that's a good plan.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
Jessica, in years gone by, I know way back when, you had gone on CBC radio, that Tuesday morning spot where you do a public service announcement. I just suggest if you could make time to do that the week before or the week during, specifically tell people about the Family Fun Day in Victoria Park on the Saturday, and the bike to work on the Friday. Some of us as seniors don't seem to connect with social media as much as others. And, you know, we rely on the Guardian and CBC or the radio stations for our updates. So if I'll just make that suggestion, if you could work with your communications department to do some of those old fashioned media ways, that way some of us would feel more involved.
Yeah,
Even like,
certainly. I mean, I'm
even
not a
like
senior and I
Compass,
listen to CBC, so it's a good
or
place to
even
get.
like Compass, you know, when you go on with Compass, maybe you could do something with that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes, we are going to do a news release, at the 1st of June, and sometimes that gets picked up by other media outlets, and we have more of an opportunity to talk about it. And I think this event being such a true partnership with Bike Friendly Charlottetown, that they'll be able to share it through their platforms, and hopefully we'll get kind of double the exposure that way, and hopefully Cycle PEI can share it too. And I mean, I think it'll be, if we get good weather, it'll shape up to be a great event, and hopefully we'll get lots of people out.
Thank you. Thanks for your time and everything you do. That's great.
Yeah.
You-
Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, that was really great. Thank you.
Okay, so now it's time for Jordan.
Okay. Hello, everybody again, and thanks for inviting me. So my name is Jordan Bobber. I've been on the job for 3 months now as the executive director for Cycling PEI. So it's been a steep learning curve, getting immersed in everything that we do. So as you probably know, Cycling PEI's mandate tends to focus mostly on the kind of recreational and sport aspects of cycling. And we're really happy to support bike friendly communities, with anything having to do with active transportation as well, promoting active transportation of all kinds. So just to give you a little bit of an update on what kinds of activities we're getting into right now, not all of which are kind of within the city limits of Charlottetown, but we have lots of people from Charlottetown who participate in these. So we've got a big focus on sort of youth, and getting youth involved in cycling in various ways. And there's been a lot of focus on mountain biking which has been building over the last few years. That's PEI is just exploding as kind of a mountain biking destination, and getting a local mountain biking culture with some of the best trails in the Maritimes. We've got people that come here from all over the place and think that we have some of the best mountain biking experiences. So we've got our Rigid Riders, all ages cycling club that's getting started at the beginning of June, that runs all through the summer, every week. And we've got a couple hundred people who will be participating out in Brookvale in that program. We're also going to be rolling out the Hop On program through Cycling Canada. So this is a program geared towards primarily school-age children between grades 3 and 6, as well as some community-based programs for kids up to 16 years old. And there's not going to be a lot of that happening this spring. It's mostly going to be ramping up in the early fall, sort of September, October time period. But we're really hoping to be able to deliver this program to schools all over PEI, and basically get more kids on bikes and just experiencing the joys of mountain biking. So that's our big youth focus and skills focus. We also we had our first road time trial this past Sunday, actually, out from Bluefield High School. So that kind of marks the first of a series of different racing events that we're going to be having. And, not all of them are super serious, like athletic races, but, just for fun and recreational races that anybody can participate in. Including, we often have a segment for kids to have a fun race at the beginning. So you can check out our website at cyclingpei.org to get our calendar. And we're going to be adding some more events to that in the next week or two. And of course, I have been talking to Jessica there about Bike Week in Charlottetown. So we are working with our volunteers to just confirm, we want to be involved in Bike Week. So we're just working on confirming that. And we do, as Jessica mentioned, have an active volunteer group on the Acadian Forest Trails. So actually, none of them could be here with us today, but Colleen Walton, who's involved there, she just updated me today that they had a really successful volunteer day just the other day, decommissioning and rerouting to complete the North End Perimeter Trail. And they're still working on some fine tuning. We're planning on sending a crew out there to do a little bit of cleanup and other trail development this year in the Acadian Forest Trails. And of course, as you may be aware, there's some groups like McPhail's and the the Wright Creek Watershed Society that's also doing a lot of work around there as far as forest enhancement, planting native trees, shrubs, ferns, and woodland flowers. So that area is actually really becoming a great area, not only for cycling, but just for everybody to enjoy for nature. And we did partner with the city this past winter to do grooming during the winter of those trails so that they could be enjoyed year round as multi-use trails. So not only for fat biking, but also for snowshoeing, for example. So that got a lot of use this year, and so we're really happy with that, and happy to continue offering that kind of little refuge in the city for people to go out and be in nature and with their bike. Yeah, so those are kind of the main updates from our end here, and we also have started a monthly newsletter. Actually, our next edition is going to be going out tomorrow, and so this is something that I'm happy to share, any initiatives related to cycling at all. So, I'm going to be sharing information about Bike Week in that, for example. But, if anybody has anything that they think should get out to at least the segment of the cycling community that is on our mailing list, we're very happy. Just shoot me an email. I can be reached at info@cyclingpei.org, and I'm really happy to share anything that that you'd like to get the word out about for cyclists. So with that, if anybody had any, do my best.
Jordan, I'm so pleased to meet you. Joanne speaking, and I'm so impressed that you have connected with bike-friendly communities, and you've connected with the city through Jessica Brown on the Bike Week initiative. Like that cooperation of bike groups coming together is wonderful. That's really going to create a more awareness about the importance of cycling. Are you the person, would you have been in contact with, like they used to have Trail Fest in the spring and in the fall? Is that you as well?
Yeah, so I know that that we have been involved in Trail Fest activities in the past. It's not currently on my radar as far as whether or not to do it this year. I had some feedback that the attendance was kind of dropping on that, and I need to look a little bit more into why that might be, and whether it's whether it's worth doing something, or if it needs to be enhanced. But we don't currently have that on our calendar, but it's something that that I need to look into some more.
You probably have so many initiatives, but just
Yeah, it's been
yeah, keep it in mind, please, because it was a really worthy thing, and it did bring
yeah.
in some tourists at the time. The biggest problem was it was never promoted. I guess they were always
Okay.
afraid of weather. The one in the fall was moved around a bit,
Mm.
but there was a nice one 2 years ago. We started down at Joe Giz Park, and we cycled out to York, and that was lovely. That did attract, and that was during the pandemic, a
Yeah.
number of cyclists. So routes that are close to the city, although I
Yeah.
know the previous person tried to move it around a bit, but it was lack of promotion, that's what killed it. But no, I certainly support what you're doing. That's great. But anyway, keep it in mind, please.
Yeah, I definitely will. Thanks, Joanne, for that. And it's good to know that you're perceiving it as being like lack of promotion that sort of was behind that low turnout. That definitely makes some sense. So maybe if we can come up with a better promotional plan, then maybe we can try that out again and see how it goes.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I really think you guys are doing great work, and it's nice to see, especially the trail stuff with the Acadian forest. I think that's a real gem that's been kind of not known about, and now it's getting some attention, which I think is really really awesome. Um, and just everybody working together, all the different groups and city departments, and everybody moving everything positive forward. I think it's really awesome.
No, thank you, Jason. I can't take any credit for anything happening in Acadian Forest. It's all happening autonomously from me. It's great. I don't really have to worry about anything there. We've got great volunteers
Well,
who
everybody
really
involved,
take charge.
it's just I think the synergy. I think is what I'm getting forward. That everybody is kind of moving the needle forward, and it's just really great to see.
Awesome.
As the BFC rep here, I'll echo that sentiment, and we're really happy to be working with you, Jordan, and with you, Jessica and Ramona. That we're really excited about this event in June. I know I'm not directly involved in the planning, but yeah, it is great to see this kind of collaboration and things happening. It's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, well thank you. And I'm gonna have to jet now, unfortunately, but it was really great to spend this time with you and to hear what's happening there. And I googled Dutch Reach as soon as I saw it mentioned there, because I'd never heard of that before, and it looks brilliant actually. As somebody who had been doored before in my life, I wish there were more people doing that. So thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Okay,
Thank
see you later. Bye.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
going to
you.
say goodnight as well, guys. Thank you so much for having us. And I have a couple follow-up items there, and I'll get back to you on those.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ramona.
Hi, Ramona.
Guys,
Nice seeing you.
thank you.
Nice seeing you.
You too. See ya.
Okay. And then, so
And if you
moving,
guys, I was just going to say, if you guys don't need anything else from me or have any other questions, then I'll probably hop off too. But you can always reach me by email. I know Joanne has my email, but I hear that Joanne is leaving, that's too bad. But yeah, I'm reachable, and I can answer any questions as they come up. But I hope to see everybody at the bike friendly event, bike friendly block party. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
okay, that was good. Well, so moving forward, do we have reports from our department liaisons? First one, Public Works. Do we have any report for Public Works?
Am I correct in believing that there was that Scott was answering our questions in email form tonight, or so that we would have a report?
There was an email sent with written answers to some questions. Give me a sec, I can dig it up. Maybe it didn't get sent to everyone.
Did you not receive it, Sharon, the answers?
I am going to look after the meeting, but no, I didn't see it.
I will, yeah, I will look right now.
If somebody just wants to send it to me, that's fine as well. I don't have a
Us.
report from Public Works, so.
Did everyone else see that? Because it is kind of
I
important since
did.
we don't. Okay. Why
No.
don't I? Would you like me to put it up on the screen
Yes,
Oh,
please.
right now?
That would be lovely, yeah.
George,
Um,
was it sent to all of us?
I got it from Doug Dume, and I thought I sent it to everybody, but maybe I thought I sent it to everybody, but I don't know. If you've got access to
You
put
can
on
do
the
it.
screen, Carrie, I think that would be wonderful to work through that.
I'm about to figure it out. There. I get it?
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
Got it? Yes, so this is the doc that was sent by no, it came from you, Joanne, I think.
Yeah, it came from Doug to me. I've been acting as a liaison person and doing my best, but yeah, I have faults.
No, I'm not. That's not what
So
it was.
Sharon, you're the liaison person officially with Scott Adams. Do you want to handle this? The general questions and the answers. Do you want to handle us going over that, please?
Sure, I mean, I haven't been in contact with them, but I can read them if that's what you're looking for.
The other thing is, do you want to read the email or bring everybody up to speed on what Doug, I forwarded that one to you. Did you receive it? On what Doug said about getting a hold of Scott Adams for the next meeting?
Let me take a look, yeah. I can read it out. It says, "Hi, Joanne. I will check in with Scott and I will let the AT task force know after the meeting on Tuesday once he is confirmed." I guess this was with regards to the answers from Scott. One additional question, you have been my main point of contact and the note taker for the meetings for the last few months. I'm technically not supposed to add agenda items, but could you bring up at the next meeting under new business that the AT task force needs to assign a new minute taker and a point of contact for the AT task force?
Yes, and we'll deal with that under new business. So the reason I got you to read that was I had sent one to Scott Adams based on the consensus of the task force, asking if, or actually I sent it to Doug Dume to send it to Scott Adams to see if Scott would attend our June meeting or our July meeting or our August meeting. And I gave the dates. So Doug Dume will be getting back to one of you when you make contact with them, whoever's liaison, on what Scott's ability is to attend one of those meetings. Yep.
Okay.
All right, take it away with the questions there, please.
The first question.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Oh, you go ahead, Carrie.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, maybe, I don't know if everybody's been kind of reading through them, if we need to read them out loud, or.
I have been reading through them personally. I think the biggest one that we were all wondering about is the 5-year plan, correct?
Yeah.
The Towers Road.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to move that down a little bit, Joanne? Because that's under specific projects.
It's me. I mean,
Oh,
Carrie.
I'm sorry, Carrie.
No, it's okay.
It says, there's many members of the public are very concerned about Towers Road as it is dangerous to AT users. However, it is a vital route connecting the mall, the trail, and Mount Edward. Why is this project slated for the plan's final year? AT users would like to see it given a much higher priority. And then there's an A. As there is construction plan for this must be the answer, I apologize. As there is a construction plan for the near future that is anticipated to negatively impact a multi-use pathway, we prefer to delay until we have a clearer plan on these impacts before recommending to move that project up. So I would gather from that because of all the construction going on, with all the, what are they, condos or that housing on the, yeah, if you're looking from the mall on the left-hand side, that they don't want to start anything until they know what's going on with that. But I'm making.
So the argument is, because there's going to be more people moving in, because there's going to be a higher density of people and active transportation going along that route, we should actually delay doing active transportation along that route. Seems to me to be contradictory.
And there's 10 years of development there. Like, this isn't going to be a 1 year we're done thing.
Yeah.
This is going to be going on and on and on, because they're doing a business center, they're doing residential stuff, they're doing everything there. So I mean, like I said, if I think they're just worried about them putting something down and it gets banged up, and I'm like, the least that they could do, even if it's not pavement, put down, something like the Confederation Trail. At least if that gets damaged, they can put down some crushed stone and, pave it later, but at least get something down.
I don't know how to, I took a picture of, I was actually going down that road last week, and I did take a picture and I didn't send it to you guys, but if you're turning from the lights going towards the mall, they've actually put like these white, they look like little pylon-y things that are pretty high.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And so, but that's on the left side. So I don't know if that was in response to what we've been asking about, or did anyone hear about that, or why they did that, or?
So I haven't seen this, but so these are just sort of plastic pylons. So if a car drove into them, they'd just fall over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So they don't do anything.
They just avoid anybody being hit by a vehicle because they're in the way.
Yeah, they're right on the white line of the road, and they look like they're not embedded. They just sit on the road, and they're about 3 feet high.
So a big wind would knock them over.
Possibly, not sure. Can't remember if it was windy that day, to be honest with you. I'll send you guys the pictures and the video I took after the meeting.
I think they're screwed into the pavement.
Oh, okay.
Are they?
Yeah, but they're not going to stop a car, but they're definitely there to give somebody some visual. It's not safe, but it's something.
It was I felt it was a start. At least there was some. I felt like there was an acknowledgement, if nothing else, that maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
in some ways, an acknowledgement is worse, because an acknowledgement says that we recognize that this is a problem, but we're not doing anything about it. And what's the matter with sort of concrete boundaries? If all of this is right, I mean, they just opened up the AT lane through Victoria Park, and they happily move around big concrete barriers. Presumably, in terms of expense, they're not particularly great. They are movable. They'll absolutely give protection to people.
I'm looking to you guys for some, where do we want to go with this? How do we proceed? We've gone a couple of times with some things, and there hasn't been a lot of feedback. So I'm kind of looking to the older people in the group to help.
I think maybe that concrete barrier idea is not a terrible middle ground to pursue. I mean, if they're willing to put some sort of barrier, yeah, let's make it an adequate one. If they're not willing to move on this building the actual pathway. I didn't realize there was actually enough space at the side of the road there to.
On the left side, there's, I would think, enough to walk. On the right side, it's a bit of a mess because we're parking on that side now, all the workers, And I would think the only side that would make sense would be the left side to do anything.
Like I
The
said,
left side going to the mall?
Pardon?
yes.
The left side going to the mall from
To the-
Mount Edward?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The right side coming from the mall. I apologize.
Even if they were to put those barriers up, like some concrete barriers, and then just go in with some of that crushed stone or whatever they put down on the trail and just dump it and compact it. At least they can make it wide and you'll have a barrier. It doesn't look great, but it's way safer than nothing, you know? I think the cost would be negligible on it because you're not putting a top coat, you're not paving it, you're not putting concrete down, you know? It's literally kind of like what they're doing for the trail around the city there on the bypass. They're just dumping and rolling it, right? They could have that dumped and rolled in a couple days.
I totally agree. I am wondering the channels we need to go through so that it gets put into play so that
Well,
the manager.
if Ramona said it was Scott Adams, right?
Yep.
So I think we should just write him a letter and say, we've noticed the ballards that have gone up. That's a start. It's not safe, but it's a start. We're wondering if some concrete barrier can be put down and some rolled, crushed tailings or gravel be put down as a stopgap measure for some type of active transportation. And, you know, at least that's something. And then, I mean, like we all know, construction's not going to be done overnight. It's going to take several years. So, and I think
my concern about that too, like anytime I go down that road, like supper time, like it's so busy on that road, like it's a huge lineup now. Like you don't have to worry about cars speeding down there at supper time because it's like a big lineup, and like over the years it's just going to be busier for people going down that road, and where like the blockage is definitely going to be needed, but it's almost like that road is just such a narrow road. The amount of traffic that's going to go through there, it's going to be quite a scene in like 3 or 4 years, because there's no way to get another lane or anything like that either. So it's going to be interesting to see like in 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
I really don't understand why we're getting so much pushback on this. It's got to be entirely political.
I think there's a bit of political. I think it comes down to budget, where people don't want to spend money on something when they figure, you know, it's going to get tore up or destroyed. I think there's like not just one reason. I think there's 2 or 3 different reasons on it. I think all we can do is, you know, write a letter and, you know, maybe if we get the dialogue going with Scott about this, and then once, you know, he writes back to us, then we can say, great, how do we move it forward? Maybe we can meet with council and him, and one of us or 2 of us could go down and present the idea to council.
Yes, that would be, yeah.
Sorry, Richard, I'm happy to write a letter to Scott this week with regards to concrete barriers and rolled, what did you say? Rolled crushed tailings?
Tailings, yeah. So what they do when they rip up a road, you know,
Yeah.
when they take up the asphalt,
Uh-huh.
that's called tailings, and they put it in different places. It compacts down very nicely. You roll it. You don't need to heat it up or anything. It makes a nice hard base. And a lot of what they use for tailings, you'll see them put that down on secondary roads. That some of them they kind of look like pavement, but they're not pavement.
So Jason, if I drafted a letter, would you partner with me just to take a look at it before I send it to Scott?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, I can do that this week.
Sure.
Since we're
Yeah.
talking about writing to Scott, and it's not addressed here, I will send this document to everyone. Would we be able to discuss a little bit about how the group feels about this roundabout project?
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah, it's obviously really important and topical.
Okay, I'm gonna stop screen sharing.
Considering they're going to be getting into this any day now.
Yes, it's kind of seems like an urgent, suddenly an urgent thing that's come up.
Yeah, I felt extremely, Carrie, frustrated. I just, I don't understand why they cannot run things through an AT lens. This is, we've asked for this. Why is this? Why can we not do this? Why were we told something publicly and then that's not the actual truth?
I wrote the
Margaret,
mayor.
put that in the minutes because those counselors read that in the minutes. And I
Yeah.
put that in the last set of minutes about using the AT lens. And perhaps if
Yeah.
we repeat it, then it might get, you know, planted where it'll count, because that's the difficult thing is there's money in this province for active transportation. There is, we know that. So now I'm reading that and down that CBC press release that there will be access to the Rotary that's, you know, planned, but that Councillor Terry McLeod announced that there would be no active transportation lane in the Rotary. You know, like, it's like, oh my goodness, like, wasn't this kind of, that's where the money's coming from for some of it? And then, nope.
So
You
where
know,
are the pedestrians gonna go? Like,
Yeah.
so you mean, like, if we're comparing this one to, let's say, the one on, by like where Yogi's and that area is there's like you can walk through the middle of it. Is there not going to be anything like that in this, or is it like?
If you give me a minute, I might be able to pull up the design here.
While Carrie's pulling
but
that up, I did write the mayor a strongly worded email because I was a little not happy about that press release on CBC. And I just basically told him, I said, first of all, Councillor McLeod needs to start using the terminology of active transportation lanes.
Yes.
The one thing about this, and what we've come to realize, especially with the Hillsborough Bridge project, and I think that's the perfect example of something that can be used as a shared pathway, that people are using it. And the more
Yes.
the more that people use it, the more visibility it has, the more visibility it has, the more long-term longevity it will have, and it will have funding. If people aren't using it, if you're separating people into separate lanes, it puts it as niche. And if it's niche, it's basically people competing at that point, right? So we want people to be using things. And I wrote the mayor and I just said, I'm not happy about this. This is not coming from the council. This is coming from myself. And, you know, I just said, this type of thing, you know, in this day and age, we need to have better terminology and this type of thing. And he said, well, what I should do is write a letter to himself, Councillor McLeod, and Jankoff, I think is my, Councillor Jankoff is my area. And say that to them, which I'm going to do. But again, it's just like people are kind of going rogue and they're not talking to anybody about it.
Well, I just find it extraordinary that we're putting money into construction and development and whatnot, and I'm all for it. But I cannot understand why we can't have an AT lens to look through prior. We have to, if we want a community that's great from 8 to 84 or whatever, you need to think about the needs of all humans from 8 to 84 or whatever the age is. It's just doesn't make any sense to me.
And to build on what you're saying,
I was extremely frustrated with that, and I was shocked, actually. I was shocked because I thought we were led in a different way. And
Yep.
you know, transparency, consistency, and fairness is the foundation of building collaborative connections of trust within any organization or community. And why are we continuing working and working and working to see a little peak of something when this should be, this is what we're doing. What does the AT task force, you know, we can't stop, we can only recommend, but it's, yeah, very, very frustrating.
So where are the sidewalks in that picture?
I just want to say the red and green, this is the only image I have. This was just a BFC person drawing where they thought the AT lane could go. So if you can look past that, these sidewalks are underneath the red here, I believe, that like you can see they're kind of shaped like blocks. And then there is a
Okay.
crosswalk, which I think will have the push button flashy lights she was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's the sidewalk again, crosswalk.
That's
So
it's a really, really poor design from the perspective of anybody other than a car, isn't it? I mean, it's lousy for pedestrians. I mean, I'm looking at that and I think what it needs is an underpass, a couple of tunnels underneath it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that.
No.
Fair enough. But
And with pushing
the,
people through it, geez, in their
the,
vehicles.
this project isn't going to be rethought for 50 years, right? I mean, it's going to be a long time before they rip this up and say, okay, we need to do something different. They'll be patching things and so on, but it'll be a long time before they redesign it. So it needs to be done right now. And this is sort of classic 1970s design, isn't it?
I was just going to say that I think we have some people who are 1970, 1980 designs and
Absolutely.
and we're and why isn't like bike friendly communities and all, why aren't they a part of these committees? That's where the lens could happen easily.
Well,
Why didn't it come to us?
Well,
why don't I draft a nicer version of my letter to send to the mayor and Mr. McLeod and the council, and I'll send it to everybody. And if anybody has anything they want to add or subtract or change, let me know.
Jason, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I want to say just tonight, I saw there's a new Guardian article that Scott Adams talks specifically about. They asked him about this design and the lack of AT, and his rationale was that it is not possible to add bike lanes because the lanes are too narrow because we're in the city, not in the country, and there's only so much space. And I know
well, that's if he's calling it a bike lane, I guess.
that was,
Yeah.
I mean, I can share
Like
the
it has
article
to
with
be
you.
something that incorporates more than just like a bike lane, like something that like a wheelchair person can use. Like, yes, I
Yes,
kind of agree that just a bike lane isn't sufficient there, but like something that can be incorporated for everyone to use is basically
like
what.
if he's talking about space, forget about it being a sidewalk and forgetting about it being, put it as an active transportation area.
that was absolutely, that's bike friendlies. I think that's going to be what we settle on as the simplest potential solution here is just transform that sidewalk into a multi-use lane.
Yeah,
I think
and that
it's
fixes
better
it for
for
everybody.
wheelchair users, right? It's better for.
The thing about it too, and I think what the active transportation lanes do is that, like, some walkers are cranky with bikers, some bikers are cranky with walkers, but I think what it does, it actually brings everybody together because they become a bit more respectful of each other. And I think something like this is a good example of an area where you could put it in and it would work really well, and everybody wins. It's not like you're pitting anybody against anybody. It's just, hey guys, we have this and we can have a nice, trail going around it, and it can work really well.
I just don't understand why it's such a me versus them or whatever. Why isn't active transportation lanes a part of our, like, it's just a part of the dialogue now instead of sidewalks and.
Well, and I don't know if you guys read that article, but they were trying to sell it as it was like a safety thing for pedestrians, but this is not a safety thing for pedestrians when they're selling it. This is selling it as a roundabout for cars, which is fine because
It's
that
gonna be
intersection is a bad.
very busy there.
It's a terrible intersection. It always has been. Like I moved to PEI in 1995 or 6, and it was always bad then, and it's been bad ever since. And they've always talked about something there, and it's going to happen. I mean, if it's been that long and they haven't done it, I think for them to sit down and involve all the partners and the stakeholders and do it correctly is probably the best thing to do, rather than, hey, it looks great, guys, but not that functional.
I don't know. I see a lot of parking. I see some parking lot space. I don't around two of the like that definitely could be widened.
Well, the thing
So I
about
think this
that
is
is the thing you're not incorporating is the fact that, like, right on the left side there's going to be a huge apartment building right there, and like that's going to cause a lot of traffic as well. And even how it's designed there, how are they going to get out? They'd have to get out through the side building there. That's the side parking lot there, and they'd have to go through the roundabout every time, unless they go down the road to the golf course, that road, because it would be hard to get in and out of that as well. Like, it's going to be a fight for vehicles and people on top of that. It's going to be quite a jumbled up area.
I think it's accidents waiting to happen. I mean, if you look at where the crosswalks are, I mean, Ryan, as you say, there's going to be an apartment building there. So there's actually going to be a lot of pedestrian traffic there. So people are coming off the roundabout and having to stop at those crossings. So they're partly in the roundabout, they're partly in the road. So it's just it looks to me just like a mess.
So did everybody want me to draft some sort of
Yes.
letter voicing our concerns? I'll send it to everybody, and then you guys can add or minus, or we can do that.
Yes.
And then we can send it to everybody on council. We'll email them all directly and just say, it's important that we get this right and that the right people are involved, because nobody's really been consulted. Everybody's,
I think genuinely this is, if we build this as is, we're actually building a barrier to all
agree.
forms of active transportation.
I
We're building a
absolutely
new
agree.
barrier.
I think that this is, I agree, Carrie. I think that we want to remove as many cars off the road as we can. And we have to build roads for our citizens, no matter what it is. And I think, like, talk about a roadblock or a barrier. I mean, this seems to be a huge one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Belvedere and Brackley Point Road are not bad in terms of they've got a decent bike lane. So, I mean, I would generally ride down Belvedere, and I'm not going to go there now if this is finished.
Yeah. And that big circle in the middle, like, that's just going to be a big empty space, like all the other roundabouts. It's just.
Oh no, that's a big egg.
Yeah.
Does it have to be that big? The other thing I was wondering about, you talked about underneath, could you make, I don't know, bridges?
Yeah, that's a multi-million-dollar thing.
You could, but
that's
they
not.
won't. You won't.
They
To
won't
get
won't
this
do that.
done. The money that they've been, because they had to buy some land from the SO and from all the different places here.
Sure.
It's been a money thing for a long time. So getting this far has been a challenge.
Okay.
When are they scheduled to begin work on this? Do they have a date?
Anytime soon.
July, at least, if not June. It
Yeah,
says in the
June, I
news
think.
article. I'll send that along.
And
Really
this was
soon.
in the 5-year plan we've seen? Or is this another?
No, because there's no AT.
Yeah.
That was an AT plan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks, Carrie, for.
No AT here.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie, for putting it on the agenda and bringing that to the task force.
I'm glad we're kind of all on the same page here. It's just, I mean, it only just came to it just was announced and kind of went public and came to our attention.
I suspect with how quickly the announcement came out and how quickly they're going to start construction, they didn't want consultation. You don't put a multi-million-dollar project out this quickly without any consultation unless you're going to try to push it through, right? So.
And the one down on Houston Street is starting as well. Did you guys know that by Ken's
I saw that
Corner?
today, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you know these crosswalks I see? Will they have lights, or are they just flat out crosswalks?
It says accessible pedestrian ramp warning plates. Do
I
you
think
guys
in the
see that?
article it says that they're going to have the rapid flashing, the same thing she was describing at the trail. I think it says that in the article that I'll share with everybody for the pedestrian crossings. And in the article it says cyclists have the option to either ride with traffic or dismount and walk along the pedestrian.
That's nice of them.
Like I was just, down by, remember where Tim Hortons is and by Bible's Permission, how busy that roundabout is?
Yeah.
I was just thinking as a biker, how dangerous it would be for me to try to get from one side to the other, and look at all how you have to go. You have to go through 1, 2, 3. How would you, I don't even know how you could do it. Because it's so busy in the first place to get people to stop. You're
Yeah,
not on to win.
because how it is now, where if you were trying to get to like Belvedere from like where the Esso is, you'd be right there and you'd wait for the light to turn to the walk sign, and then you cross through that part. But like, yeah, it's gonna be, huh? Like, li- I don't know if you wouldn't want to walk through the egg.
Well, it looks like
It'll be a scrambled egg.
at the top of the page there.
Yeah.
There's 3 different ways you can walk through.
Yeah.
I could only imagine as a person driving, it just doesn't look.
Well,
feasible.
okay, so let me draft something. I'll get it out hopefully tomorrow, and then we can kind of pick it apart and get it off them as soon as possible.
That's excellent.
Because I just don't think any of us, we can talk about it, but I don't think,
Yeah.
honestly.
And I think what you're proposing, Jason, is excellent because it's the counselors that make the decisions. And you could copy it to Scott Adams if you choose. Just as another thing on the public works, I had been asked by the mayor to keep pursuing the need for disabilities review of the city's facilities. And Scott Adams said that he didn't have an answer for that on those questions. But I did receive a follow-up from Doug Dumay of the mayor's office on May the 10th. And I'd like to read this. It says, "Hi, Joanne. Just a note, at the regular meeting of council yesterday, Councillor McLeod noted in the minutes to the task force that a question was raised to Scott Adams about the status of the accessibility review at city facilities. Councillor McLeod just wanted to make sure that any action items, recommendations, or outcomes from the task force related to accessibility be done in collaboration with the city's civic board for persons with disabilities. If you would like me to connect with the chair of this other advisory board to discuss further when the time comes, please let me know." I remember that it's been discussed a couple of times here briefly, but that, the talk was that we meet with that board as a task force. And I had made the suggestion that, well, let's wait until the disabilities review is done, so we have something concrete to meet with the other task force on civic board with persons with disabilities. So I'm just going to leave that with you people, that if you do meet with Scott Adams in the next 3 months and that does come up, that the review can be shared with the civic board for persons with disabilities. So if that could
Yeah,
go into the
I think that's great because we need to collab more with that group, definitely.
If I could go in the minutes, Margaret, please, and that'll get read by the council. And you know what? That told me something, that the councillors, and I know the mayor does, read our minutes. But I mean, I don't care if they don't read everything, but at least what we're discussing is being read. So we have to keep planting the seeds. That's the way I see it. You just have to keep planting those seeds and moving forward.
Okay.
Maybe we can
So-
put some in that big egg.
Oh, yeah.
I think had
yeah.
Scott Adams actually shown up at any of the meetings he was invited to, we might not have been quite as blindsided by this proposal as we have been. I mean, we could have asked a pointed question about, do you have any major construction projects which have AT implications? In fact, we should ask him that anyway. What other AT projects do you have where you have not considered AT implications?
And one thing I want to mention about you writing that up to the counselors, I think you should say that it just, looking at the design, it looks like it's more dominant the right of way of the vehicles. It just seems like the pedestrians and the, like, they're not, it's more in favor of the vehicles than it is
Well,
for like,
I think
you know
what
what I
I'll
mean?
draft is just saying that, we have lots of great working models in the city, the Hillsborough Bridge being a perfect example of an area that's working and is used. Why are we reinventing the wheel when we have the opportunity to recreate what we have and what works? So,
Yeah.
something like that when I draft it all. You guys will all see it.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Richard, I can either add that to the letter I'm sending about if there's any other projects.
I think given that we seem to have been deliberately cut out of the loop, it's been 6 months now, well, 5 months since he was meant to meet, and it does seem like he's trying to avoid us. Yeah, I think that's a pointed question, but I think
Well,
you should know that we also mean
Really,
business.
as a liaison to Scott, I've yet to talk to him, so, and I've left messages and different things. I'm not sure.
Two things there. Richard, I don't know that he's trying to avoid us. I know we have that impression, but I do know he has a lot on his plate. Just from my conversations out there, I think he has a lot on his plate. And Sharon, the best way, I mean, you can try, if you don't hear back from Scott, is what Ramona suggested, is to work through Doug Dumai's office. So whoever, if probably you, wants to try to get him scheduled for June or July or August, you should work with Doug Dumais, and because that's the mayor's arm, right? And ask
Okay.
him to contact Scott. It's probably the best way.
I will do that.
Okay, we're running out of time here. Do we have, what about Parks and Recreation? Do we have a report for Parks and Recreation?
I don't have anything to bring forward right now.
Okay, how about police?
I have nothing.
Okay. I mentioned it to them, just she mentioned it, I never knew about it, but just about registering your bikes and with the city, like that's a good thing, and I'm gonna tell my friend about that. But that's a good awareness thing, because like theft in vehicle bicycles is drastically going up, and like more awareness of that is definitely something that um should be looked at for sure regarding police and active transportation vehicles. Had to get that in there. Okay, and how about sustainability?
Already done. And Ryan, you're good to get things in there. Like I said, the stuff that gets into the minutes is going to get read.
Okay. Okay. And cycling PEI.
We heard from them.
Yep. And last but not least, bike-friendly communities.
Ryan, I think you're the first one tonight that said our name correctly. So I
I'm
might
usually
have to
saying
send a
BFG.
gentle nudge. BFC. Yeah, no, I won't add much. But you've now heard about our big event that is in the works. That came together really quickly over the last couple of weeks. And now that we have a bit of a team, you know, that we can put to work on some things, we're able to say, yeah, we can make that happen. And it should be a great event, we hope. So really nice to kind of, it'll be our not our first, but our first major big in-person event since pre-pandemic. So it would be nice to get together. I've got a little 5-year-old pulling on me. It's almost bedtime, but it's not time to pull on me. Anyway, BFC, we're excited. Let me know if you have any questions or things that I should share with them. But we're definitely going to be following up on this roundabout business ourselves as well, adding our voices to that. So
Okay. And new business.
Okay, so liaison person with the mayor's office through Doug Dume. If Doug wants to send an email to some of you or follow up on something, who of you wants to be the liaison person with them? And you may get a call from the mayor now and then as well.
I volunteer Richard.
Richard, are you good for that?
Sure.
Okay, so you and Doug.
So I'll record it as voluntold.
Right.
That's all right. It's just emails. Minute taker. How am I going to put this? We were told that you had to take turns doing minutes. As a retired person, and not able to travel the last 4 months, I've done the minutes and happily. Sorry guys, my life's going to start now that we can travel, and we've got a 4th grandchild coming, all kinds of things. So
Yeah.
do you want to go month by month and you decide amongst yourselves? How do you want to do that?
I'm really comfortable with helping in that capacity for the next little while. And then when I feel that I've done it enough, then I may just put out to the committee, then can I get some support? But I'm very comfortable with helping in that capacity.
Do you want to us to put in, Sharon, like a quarterly review?
Sure.
Like every quarter check in, or?
That's perfect. So every 3 months we'll do another check, and then if I'm comfortable, we'll go another 3 months.
That's wonderful, Sharon. Thank you. Again, I'll follow up and pass this all along to my buddy Doug. And lastly, recommend a new member to the task force. So Doug
That's
said,
what I was going to ask. Are we getting a new member?
well, he said he put it in the works, but I do recall from the mayor last time that he wanted consensus or a motion from us recommending a new member of the task force. So I'll move that there be a new member of the task force. Can we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, Jason.
Yeah,
And
on the basis that they're hilarious.
no, you got the jokes. I just do the smiles. So the seconder, okay, Jason, and all in favor? All right, and
Aye.
I'll write a letter.
Aye.
I'll write a letter on behalf of you saying that, And for now on, all you need to know, and I think I sent you an email, I learned this too. Whoa. If you make a motion in the future, all you need is a letter to the department manager, as Ramona directed us, a letter to the department manager and to perhaps the chair of that committee, of that standing committee, to that chair. So you've got a letter and a copy. Our last motion, I sent to all the counselors, and I sent it on this form that Ramona had given me 2 years ago that I've used for all the motions. But it got picked up this time by a counselor because I sent the motion to the counselor that it was some sort of a staff advisement thing. So I got an email from Doug Dume saying, "Well, you sent out a staff review form. You know, what was the intention of that?" And I was there like, "Oh, I don't know. That was the form I was given." He said, "In future, just a letter is enough." So, yeah,
Okay.
no fancy forms.
Well, how are we supposed to know this?
Now you know. Yeah,
where
yeah.
would you've got a staff review?
Well, I got the form from Ramona, so I don't know if the form number changed. You know, Margaret, there's been a lot going on at City Hall the last few weeks.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
heard that.
City Hall?
Yes.
No comment.
Oh, one question. How would you fine folks feel? I meant to do this last summer, but then we got COVID stuff going on of get together barbecue at my place sometime this summer.
That'd be perfect.
And
Oh,
we can
nice.
invite the past members just to catch up with them.
Well, Jason, I'll finally get to meet you up face to face.
You might regret that.
And Jason, you can make it potluck. We'll bring something. I'm very good at desserts.
Excellent, good, because I'm good. I'm good at the barbecuing.
I'm just interested in going. I don't want to cook,
You
but
don't
I'll
have.
buy something.
You can.
Sounds
You
perfect.
you can eat, drink, and
Sounds
be
great.
merry.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other new business?
Well, I just want to say, I think we're going to miss Joanne.
I
Yes.
know.
You on the
Big
team.
time.
I'll miss you. It's been 3 whole years. And
It
I must say
has.
I've enjoyed it. And I just want to tell you, you're giving me lots of opportunity here, but that Winter World Congress that I attended, the 2-day thing, virtually, was probably one of the biggest highlights that I ever, and I didn't have to participate, but I mean, I watched it, and from people all over the world, that was such a neat thing, the Winter World Congress. And the time we went to the farmers market with the bus and the bus driver and the Cassidys to promote the bike rack on the front of the bus. That was cool. And my third thing was the movie. It was the worst weather ice storm ever. And we made the decision to go ahead with the movie on cycling at City Cinema that was attended by 30 some people, but that was a pretty cool thing too. So thank you. I've enjoyed all of your participation and knowing you, meeting you, working with you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Don't be surprised if you get an email every so often asking a question.
Please feel, because I'm not going to throw my binders out for a while, and I did collect a lot of stuff. So yeah, if you want to touch back, we'll call me the corporate memory.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I think the meeting's adjourned. All right.
Good night. Have a good summer.
Thank you. Have a good summer.
Have a good
Bye.
summer.
Thank you.